Bonjour, mes petits. Okay, so yesterday I guess my computer could not handle more than one long video. So here is part two. Okay. I did go back and watch the video and saw that there were a couple things that I gave slightly wrong information about, so I wanted to go over that. So when I was talking about the geography of France yesterday, je parlais de la géographie de la France. I mentioned a couple of the mountain ranges and other geographical um, situations in France, such as the Alps, okay, les Alpes, and they are indeed very impressive. I don't know where this is exactly, but they get very, very high and very, very cold down there in the south, near Switzerland and Italy. Okay, I did not mention the Massif Central, which is kind of like a plateau. It's actually a volcanic um, geographical feature of plateaus and mountains in the center of France, and it actually takes up about 15% of the entire area of France, which is worth mentioning. Um, when you take trains across France, for example, from Paris to Lyon or Paris to Nice, so kind of from the north to the very south. Typically, the trains will avoid these areas because they would slow them down. France is very famous, very well known for having the TGV, the train à grande vitesse, which is the high-speed train. And if it were going through the mountains, such as this, it would not have that level of speed. So, but it is very interesting that that is right there. And then, of course, Les Pyrénées, which I mentioned yesterday, the Pyrenees, that's on the border of Spain. The Jura, that's the one that I kind of messed up. So I had said that the Jura was near the border of Germany, and that it kind of is, but it's closer to the border of Switzerland. So there is I'll show you, there is Lake Geneva, which is called Lac Léman in France. I lived right near it when I lived in Evian, so it's kind of something I know pretty well. Oh, apparently there's a Wisconsin Lake Geneva. We don't want that. Lac Léman, we'll put it in that way. Okay, so here's Evian, by the way, where I lived. Evian-les-Bains, petite ville, a little town that happens to have a very famous product, the Evian water, of course. And then you can see that this is Switzerland over here, and all this is France. Down below this area, the south of Lac Léman, you have the Préalpes and the Alpes. You have Chamonix, which is where you have the famous Mont Blanc. Really, really, really high mountains. And all this, even though it's not in color, this is all hill and pre-Alps, so still pretty high mountains. It was very, very hilly where I lived, right about here. So it doesn't look like it would be, but it is. And then on the other side, you have Le Jura. And the Jura kind of extends up here through this western border of Switzerland and gets close to Germany, but I don't think it technically extends to Germany. What you do have then is the mountains along the German border here are les Vosges, les Vosges. So yet another mountain range. I know this is all probably very boring to you, but it's interesting to me. I thought maybe it would be interesting to someone. So going back through this list, so the Jura is along France and Switzerland. Les Vosges, I just mentioned, that's along the German border near the Alsace region. The entire island of Corsica, which is just south of France, south of mainland France in the Mediterranean Sea, is basically one big mountain, and I believe there are volcanoes there as well. Morvan Massif in Burgundy, I'm not very familiar with that one, but it says it's the smallest of France's mountain ranges, though usually counted in any list of France's main mountains. Okay, that's it for that page. And then I just wanted to show you a map of the overall mountain ranges in France. Okay, so the ones we covered include Les Vosges. This is the German border up in here. The Jura, this is the the top of the Swiss border where it hits France, and then further south, still Swiss border, and then also the Italian border, you have the Alps, which extend well into Austria, possibly even further. The Massif Central right about here. So basically, if you're going from Paris down to Nice, which is right about here, you're going to go around all these mountains, through this valley, and down below, so you don't have to go through any of the Alps either, and up into here. And Nice is basically on the border of Italy. And then the Pyrenees, of course, Corsica Mountains here, and then I'm not familiar with, I have never been to Brittany. It's a very rocky region. I know that much. And it is where crêpes originate from. Anyway, that's just some random facts about French geography. And I hope you learned something. Okay, closing out of here. Oh, this is for later. Google Translate fails. I've been wanting to show you guys that for a long time. Okay, we're going back to Paris. This is, I wanted to show you really quick. This is a 3D view. I like that it kind of spins. Pretty cool. But we want it to be right side up. So we're going to fix it. Voila. Okay, so we're going to go straight in. And I believe I was starting to do this yesterday and had to end the video. We're going to go into the Louvre. And it's funny, I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, but when you zoom in on Paris, even just a little bit, it has a lot of the major monuments highlighted and marked on the map. And you can see that all of them say temporarily closed due to the pandemic. C'est fou, it's a little crazy. All right, so we're going to go to the Louvre, and I chose the Louvre as the first monument to visit because it is right smack dab in the center of Paris in the premier arrondissement. You can see that, okay, this is the Louvre itself, this building that has, it's kind of like a open rectangular shape, and it's massive. It would take, I mean, if you were really taking a moment, even taking just 1 minute, one full minute, or maybe even 30 seconds to observe every work of art in the Louvre, experts say that it would take you weeks to get through the whole thing. So usually when people go to visit the Louvre, they don't have that much time on their hands, so they'll just cover one wing, or if they want to cover most of it, they'll just take a couple seconds just kind of scanning. To me, personally, and I think I've said this in class before, the Louvre is very overwhelming. I'm not saying it's not worth a visit. Obviously, everyone wants to see the Mona Lisa, which is there, and there's countless other famous works. But it is so overwhelming that I have tended to avoid it when I go to Paris. It's also very expensive to get in, and there's always lines to get in unless you get your tickets in advance. So it's kind of an ordeal. I'm certainly not saying that I don't encourage you to visit it at some point in your lifetime, but yeah, just giving you an idea of its massiveness and its significance. So yeah, if you ever do go to Paris, which I hope all of you do, plan your trip wisely. And if you are an art fan, definitely don't miss the Louvre, but make sure you allot several days into your trips, because the Louvre is going to take up basically one entire day at least. So okay, so it's really big. And then along here you have something called the Jardin des Tuileries, les Tuileries. It's just a long big garden. It's an open public park. It's weird. It's kind of funny that it's affiliated with the Louvre, because it could stand alone as just one of Paris's best parks. But it happens to be kind of an extension of the Louvre. And then within there, there's actually some small museums, such as the Musée de l'Orangerie, which has a lot of famous Impressionist works. And then I think there's a few other little standalone buildings that might have a couple of works of art. But mostly it's just a big open park. Very, very well manicured and beautiful. At the end of the Tuileries, you have the Place de la Concorde, which, let's see, I'll pull that up now. That is not an accurate picture. That looks like it's showing Notre Dame, and that is not what it looks like. Place de la Concorde. Wow. Yeah, that's not the Place de la Concorde. I need to contact Google and tell them they need to change this picture. I'm gonna be a good little citizen, guys. It's actually, this is the Place de la Concorde. Show me a pic. Yep. So it's got this obelisk here. It's sort of a Grecian statue. And it's right smack dab in the center. And this is the start of the Champs-Élysées. Okay, close. Okay, so so this is the Tuileries and the Louvre going this way, and then this is actually the Champs-Élysées. This is the start of the very famous Avenue des Champs-Élysées, the wide boulevard with lots of shopping and high-end restaurants and tourist traps nonetheless. But anyway, okay, let's zoom out a little and we're going to go back to the Louvre. I'm just going to show you the main courtyard where the entrance is. You've probably all seen this before, but you might not have known what it was. Okay, we're going to pull our little guy. Move this camera. I'm going to pull this guy in, and I guess I just drop him. Come on, show me. Okay, here we go. This is the good stuff. Cool. We're there. It's like we're there, you guys. On est là. So this whole, like I said, this is like an open rectangle, the Louvre. It's massive, massive. And here, I wish I could. Okay, I guess I'm not going to be able to move. This pyramid is actually the main entrance of the Louvre. You go in through here, and you go down and through a tunnel to get into the building. There are some other entrances, but this is the main one. And it's really interesting. It's a sculpture that was created by the famous architect slash sculptor I.M. Pei, if you've ever heard of him. Il est très connu. He's very well known. So yeah, there you have it, the Louvre. I want to get a little closer in though, so let's see if I can do that. Est-ce que je peux faire ça? Ouh, zoom me out. Bon, où est-ce que je suis? Voilà. Okay, I'm gonna go closer in. I think it'll let me. Yeah. I love Google Earth. Okay, so lots of tourists pretty much at any given time, but there is the statue. Can I not move? I want to be able to move around. It's not exactly street view because you can't like move. I guess it's just because this is not really a street, it's a place, it's a monument courtyard. So that's not the most impressive view ever. I'm gonna try one more. I just want you to get the full feel. It looks like you can put this guy anywhere on the blue lines, but I just don't know what the best view is. Maybe we'll go here. We'll see what happens. Cool. Looks like it was a cloudy day when the Google man or Google woman came by to do that, to do this camera work. It's too bad. C'est dommage. So there you go. It's just a big open courtyard. A lot of times people just hang out in there. They'll bring little picnics. I don't think they're supposed to, but they do. Musicians hang out there, all sorts of stuff. And then, again, I can't walk further. There's probably a way, but I don't want to waste your time. So there you have it. That's the main courtyard for the Louvre. If we had more time, we would go in depth on some of the famous works in the Louvre, but that will have to come another day, perhaps even next year. Okay, so going through the Tuileries, and I do want to show you a little bit of the Tuileries because they are a very important part of Paris. Most of the ground is like a gravel. I don't know why I thought it would be interesting to tell you guys that, but it's just a I don't know, it's a very specific type of ground that you walk on. There's this nice little crunching sound as you walk. I believe that this, what the heck do you call these? It's not a carousel. Is it a carousel? Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel. I believe this is a temporary thing. I don't think it's always there, but I believe it has been there for a few years. This is not the most beautiful view of the Tuileries, but this is kind of what it looks like. It's just a big open park, mostly with this gravel, but lots of really well manicured green grass, little places, benches, and little places you can have picnics and whatnot. So yeah, there you have it. It's a lovely, lovely thing to do. Okay, zooming out, zoom, 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 zoom. Wow, even the garden's closed. I guess you can't walk in it, even though it's just a big open space. C'est dommage. I am going to, since we are right here at the Champs-Élysées, I'll show you the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe, and I'll show you the Grand Palais. The Grand Palais is, so see, why are they showing me this image? That's not a good image. It is a big, beautiful palace. It used to be used for kings and queens. It's one of the many palaces in or around Paris. Nowadays, it is mostly used as a temporary gallery, and it's used for fashion shows during Paris Fashion Week. But it's a really impressive building. It's very beautiful. Voilà. The Grand Palais. Picture really avant-garde Parisian fashionistas hanging around here during Fashion Week. The press, celebrities, it all happens here. Boom! I haven't even showed you my favorite parts of Paris yet. Oh, and I don't think anyone's even watching this. Mais ça va. Oh, and there's the Petit Palais, of course, as well. Gotta show you that. Wait, I think what you just saw was the Petit Palais and the Grand Palais. Oh gosh, it's so beautiful. Oh, I wish I were there. Si seulement j'étais là. Si seulement nous étions là. If only we were there. I believe on the back there's some portion of the Grand Palais that's all glass. I know the ceiling is all glass. It's very beautiful inside. I've never been inside, but I've seen pictures. Bon, anyway, the Grand Palais and the Petit Palais, this big palace and the little palace. There's a lot of buildings in Paris that don't necessarily have permanent functions. They're used for temporary galleries. Art is obviously a big deal in Europe and Paris in particular, and there's just always need for spaces to accommodate galleries, temporary installations and whatnot. Let's go. Okay, we're going to continue up the Champs-Élysées, and I'll just drop us off. How do I do street view? There's got to be a way to do street view like you normally do in Google Maps. Just want to show you what the Champs-Élysées looks like. You've seen pictures of it. Oh, I love that they did a night view. Beautiful. So there you go. I can't walk up the street. Y'all, I swear I was able to do this yesterday, and now I can't see a way. Bon. Well, in any case, this must be a Christmas time view. And there's the Arc de Triomphe there at the end. That's not actually the end of the Champs-Élysées, but it's kind of the end of the commercial sector of the Champs-Élysées. After that, it becomes a little bit more residential and more just building businesses. And then beyond that, and I've said this before, the Champs-Élysées, despite it being one of the most famous streets in the world, is not one of my favorite places to visit in Paris. I find it to be a little bit commercial, too commercial. There's stores there that you can find anywhere in the world, you know, even in Commerce, Georgia. There's H&M, Sephora. You know, it's just, I don't want to spend my time on a street where I can mostly visit the places that are there at home. But it's cool, and you got to see it at least once because it's famous. I wanted to show you La Défense. I wish I could get a better view. La Défense is the business sector of Paris, which is not even considered part of Paris necessarily. It's outside of the perimeter. But it's just interesting because it's very modern compared. It's all modern buildings. There's no old school architecture there like you have all over Paris. And it's most famous for the Grande Arche de la Défense. These pictures they choose to represent the monuments are unfortunate. So we'll go up close. It's just this really modern square arch. Voila. Wow. Oh, I guess we're going on top. Cool. I love Google Earth. Oh no, we're inside of the arch. So yeah, this, I mean, to me, this just looks like a big, major modern city. It doesn't look like Paris. But a lot of Paris business people work here, not in Paris proper. Okay, boom. So yeah, it's a, here you go. You can see what it looks like, mostly. Ooh, I'm getting dizzy. Voila. Okay, we're already past 20 minutes. Oh, God. I just keep telling myself, maybe they are watching this, because, you know, a normal class period is 50 minutes, so this is only not even half of that, right? You'd be listening to me run my mouth if we were in class. I'm going back to Central Paris now. Let's orient ourselves. Okay, so we've seen the major monument in the premier arrondissement, the first arrondissement, but there's much, much more to see there. It's a very posh area. It's not necessarily one of my favorite areas just because, I don't know, posh, you know, areas that are really rich and posh are a little intimidating to me. You know, I want to be able to have a conversation with a human being and not feel like I'm underdressed. So it's, I mean, it's cool to see, but it's very expensive to live there, and it's even very expensive to visit. All the restaurants are hiked up for the rich people and the tourists that are spending their money there and their time. Let's see. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a d'autre? I could show you. Ooh, let's go to the second arrondissement. I believe the Centre Pompidou is in the second. This is one of my favorite museums in Paris. I am kind of more of a fan of modern art, and that's what the Pompidou is all about. The museum itself is a work of art. You're going to see what I'm talking about. I hope that I'll get a good view here. Ooh, love it. Je l'adore. So there you go. This is actually a museum, and all this scaffolding that looks like it's, you know, undergoing construction is actually a permanent part of it. So when you enter, it's so cool. You go up, there's escalators up in here. You ride them all the way up, and actually you get some of the best views in Paris. This is one of my little insider tips for, you know, don't bother going to the top of the Eiffel Tower because you can't see the Eiffel Tower from the Eiffel Tower. There are a lot of places to get a good vista of Paris, but this is one of the ones that's not mentioned as much, and I think it has a really great view. In fact, I'll see if I can get our little person up there in a moment. So yeah, the courtyard has a lot of modern art installations in itself, so you can take in a little bit of free art without even going in. This area is very lively. There's a lot of cool people that hang around here, great restaurants. Ooh, there's Amorino. This little stand, this is a gelato stand. It's based in Paris. Gelato's Italian, but Amorino is a French-based company. They actually have gotten so popular that they have a store in Lenox Mall in Atlanta, which is kind of disappointing because I used to think of it as like so European, so French, but it's international now. Bon, so voilà le Pompidou. They always have cool stuff going on there. I'm going to see if we can somehow get on top. for that view. Est-ce que je peux... Ah! Allez, allez. Love it. Oh, that's so cool. So yeah, there's your view. That's the view that I was talking about. There you go. There's the Eiffel Tower. It's in the distance, but it's still really beautiful, striking. This eyesore here is the Tour Montparnasse. It's consistently considered to be one of the ugliest parts of Paris. It's really unfortunate. It kind of disrupts the skyline because it's just, again, it's really modern. This is actually in the south of Paris, not near La Défense, that business area I was just talking about, but yeah, so it just kind of stands there and looks ugly and awkward. It's a shame. It does have good views of Paris itself, though. This is the Sacré-Cœur. I believe, in my memory, when you're up there, you can see these things a little bit better. They seem a little bit closer up. Sacré-Cœur is the church that's on the top of Montmartre, which is this hill here. It doesn't really look like a hill, but it is. It's pretty steep. And this is the best view of Paris up here. And this is one of the best neighborhoods in Paris. It's still got this really old school bohemian charm. It's definitely a must for any visit to Paris, even though it kind of feels like you're going to a little village outside of Paris, but it's a must. Bon, okay, well, that was a cool view. I'm glad we did that. Glad we did that together. I'm glad you guys chose to do that with me, right? Bon, so ça c'est le Centre Pompidou, and this is, I believe, the second arrondissement where it meets maybe the fourth arrondissement. This neighborhood in general, I mean, any neighborhood in the center of Paris is incredibly expensive to live in, but they're super cool. And I actually would say I prefer the second arrondissement to the first over here. It's just a little more down to earth, more kind of stuff to do if you're a young person. Great restaurants. Oh my God. Just always interesting stuff happening here. Always live music around here. It's just great. Okay, we're going to zoom out. The third arrondissement, the third and the fourth are what's known as le Marais, and they are here and here. Okay. They are not as well known for specific monuments or museums, although as you can see, the Musée Picasso is here. One of Picasso's main museums is located in here. Other than that, it's just a really, really, really charming neighborhood to walk through. In fact, I want to walk you through it, and I don't know how to. Apparently, I don't know how to do that in Google Earth, so we're going to do it in Google Maps. Let's start from, well, what is the name of that falafel place? L'As du Falafel. Okay. This is a very famous restaurant in the Marais. So the Marais is home to, it's a popular game. They have pride parades there. It's mostly pedestrian. You can't drive much in this neighborhood. But it's very lively. It's actually, to me, it's a perfect neighborhood because there's some streets that are just really quiet, tranquil, charming, residential, and then, you know, maybe like a little boutique here and there. And then some streets are really, really lively. Again, live music, concert, well, maybe not concert venues, but bars and cafes, just with a lot of people hanging out. Okay, so let's zoom here. And we'll walk from L'As du Falafel up to the Musée Picasso, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm talking about with these rues charmantes, these charming streets. We're coming on 30 minutes. Oh, there it is. L'As du Falafel. If you ever go to Paris, you must go here if you like falafel. Even if you've never tried it, it's a must. Look at all these people standing in line to get it. That's how good it is. So yeah, you can see this is pedestrian. all the best parts of Paris are the pedestrian areas. You don't have to worry about cars. Cop cars can come through, and I guess smaller cars like this one are allowed to, but you don't see a lot of them. Let's see if we can walk up here. Oh, love it. So this is the, oh, I was going to mention, this is the Jewish quarter also of Paris. So there's a lot of Israeli restaurants. There's a lot of Orthodox Jews in their traditional garb around here. You might even see some of them on this street view. Amazing boutiques for my ladies and gentlemen who like to shop. Not cheap, but pretty good. This place also is very famous. Sasha Finkelstein, again, amazing falafel and sort of Israeli pastries. Okay, we're going to turn here. I believe this is the way to the Musée Picasso. Maybe we'll go up here, actually. Can we? No, we can't. On peut pas. On peut pas. On va par ici. We're going this way. And can we skip across? We'll just go around the bend here. Ooh, I like that lady's dress. Ooh, there you go. Cute boutique. It's just really nice, this neighborhood. It's always clean, but it doesn't feel too rich or ritzy. It's really old school Paris. By the way, this is the neighborhood where historians say Paris really started. Marais means marsh. And when Paris was originally civilized, turned into a society, what is the word I'm looking for? A community of sorts by the Parisi tribe. It was here. They were getting around by boat because this was all one big marsh. And then they expanded the rest of Paris from there. And I think they cultivated the marsh so that they could, they didn't have to go by boat. They turned it mostly into land. Okay, where am I going? Où est-ce que je vais? There's two entrances to Picasso. We'll go this way. I love this area so much. Je l'adore. I think I might be going the wrong way. Cute boutiques, cute boutiques. So, okay, not totally pedestrian, but you can see that there's really only one car allowed at a time. There's no lanes. And most drivers do not opt to drive through the Marais because the streets are so narrow and there's so many pedestrians that it just takes a long time. So like if you're ever in a taxi, unless it's a taxi that's trying to get you to pay him or her more, they are probably not going to take you through this area. Here's the Picasso, I believe. This is the entrance. Yeah, voila. Let's see. So it's a really, really cool kind of ancient looking entrance. It is definitely an ancient building, probably dating back to Roman times. And now we're going to go back to Earth. We're going to go back to Earth. And we're going to get a little view of the inside if we can. Est-ce qu'on peut faire ça? Funny thing about Picasso and his association with Paris, Picasso was not French, but he most or if not a significant portion of his career evolved in Paris, so he is affiliated. He's almost considered a French artist. Paris was the place to be during his time. I mean, it really always has been for any artist, but yeah. So yeah, I guess we can't go inside, quote unquote. Siggy, are you tired? My dog is tired. Il est fatigué. But it's nice. It's very, very charming. There's also the Place des Vosges in here. Vosges, if you recall that term from earlier, that is the Vosges is the name of the mountain range on the border with Germany, but there's also a very famous Place des Vosges, which is where Victor Hugo lived when he was alive, and I believe it is where he mostly wrote Les Miserables and possibly The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He did a lot of his work from, there it is, Place des Vosges. Also, yet again, another lovely park. Paris is just full of lovely parks just to lounge in. Lots of young people hang out here. There's little cafes along the edge. Victor Hugo's house, I believe, is along the perimeter here. I've never been in, but I've heard it's nice. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut dire sur Paris? What can you say about Paris? It's just like, yeah, it's beautiful. It's amazing. There's nothing about it that sucks. You just gotta go. Un jour, right? One day. Bon. So that's Place des Vosges, and now I think we've covered a decent portion of the 3rd and 4th arrondissement, aka the Marais neighborhood. Okay, let me show you. We are on the please. Rive droite. So it's kind of funny. I've mentioned this in class before. This is Paris, obviously. This circle is Paris proper, meaning the main part of Paris. And it is divided into several arrondissements, as you've seen, but even those are divided by the River Seine, okay, which is this guy here. And each section is called a rive, which means coast, not really coast, it means riverside, basically. So for a long time, this section, which I would consider south, okay, has been called the rive gauche, the left riverside, the left bank. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. The left bank, and then this is the rive droite, the right bank. And both have. A lot of people say, oh, the right bank, the rive droite, is where all the rich people live, and it's the fancier, nicer side. But that's not necessarily true, because there's a lot of stuff around here that's much more bohemian, not so wealthy. And then there's a lot of stuff in the rive droite, the rive gauche, where there's a lot of rich people there too, believe me. Basically, if you live in Paris, you got to be fairly rich, unless you're just living paycheck to paycheck just for the sake of living in Paris, which, I get it. Boom. So we were just visiting a small portion of the rive droite. The monuments, just to recap, that we have covered are the Musée du Louvre, the Arc de Triomphe, and the Champs-Élysées. We didn't spend a lot of time there, but we've talked about it in class. We talked a little bit about the Sacré-Cœur, and we'll go there in just a second. We talked about Le Jardin des Tuileries, right in here, and the Place de la Concorde, where the Champs-Élysées starts, right here. We talked about the Marais neighborhood, which is not really that known for monuments, but it is known as a must-visit neighborhood, very pedestrian and very old. I would show you where I lived near the Place de la Bastille, which is a super cool, hip, young neighborhood. There's a lot to see there, but it's not as well known, so I'm not gonna go into that. And then this, you can't see it, but there's the 10th arrondissement in here, and the Canal Saint-Martin, which actually I think I will show you. So the 11th, 10th, and 9th, these are all this is where a lot of young people live. Very hip, very Brooklyn, if you're familiar with that sort of style, very, very hipster. Not necessarily the most old school, charming Parisian, but definitely very cool. Place de la Bastille has some of the best open-air markets once or twice a week. Lots of amazing restaurants around here. I mean, you can say that about pretty much anywhere in Paris, but they're really good in this neighborhood. Place de la Bastille is obviously where the Bastille, the original prison, that was stormed at the start of the French Revolution, or rather, I guess, yes, that's technically at the end of the French Revolution. So very, very famous. A lot of blood was shed here during the Revolution. But it has now become, I guess I'll show it to you. It's now become a symbol of freedom in Paris. It's where a lot of protests take place. That's the monument that's there. And it's just a big circle, this neighborhood. Oh my God, this is a 40-minute video. I'm not going past 45 minutes. I say that now. So yeah, it's a big roundabout. This is actually an opera house here, one of the two most famous opera houses in Paris. This is the less famous of the two because it's more modern, but it's pretty cool. I lived down this street and then turned down another street to get to my house. I lived about a 10 to 15 minute walk from here. And it's crazy to think of that now, guys. If you ever study abroad, do not take it for granted. There are times now where I think to myself, why was I not walking through Paris and exploring everything I possibly could have? Ziggy agrees with me. You want to, if you live there, if you have the luck to live there, study abroad there, whatever, even just visit, don't spend any time in your hotel room. Don't spend any time in your dorm room. Just get out and see it all and do it all. You don't even have to spend money. You just walk and see everything. What I wouldn't give to go back there right now. Okay. So that's Place de la Bastille. Okay, and then this is the Canal Saint-Martin, which is awesome. It is obviously a canal. If you watched the video of the man and the little girl that were talking about how they were doing their quarantine, that was actually in this port, the Port de l'Arsenal. So right by the Bastille, there's a lot of stationed boats there. A lot of people live in their boats, and then sometimes they'll travel. The canals are kind of a pain to get through because you have to go through the locks. And under some bridges, but they do lead out into the river and into the sea. So this one leads right into the Seine, the main river through Paris. And then the canal continues. Où est-il? Je veux voir. Oh, it was going the wrong way. Où est le canal? I guess this must be it here. Canal Saint-Martin. Où est-il? Maybe it does stop there. Then it continues in the 10th. I probably just can't see it. Où est le canal? That's where it starts. Sorry, this is no fun for you guys. I just really want you to see the canal. I guess maybe it stops and then starts again. Maybe at one time it was all connected. I truly think it does extend. It's just really small in here and you can't really see it. On va voir. It might possibly go underground at a certain point, so technically it extends. But you can't see it. It looks like this is a bridge, so maybe you can see it from over here. It probably used to be one long connected canal, and now maybe it's just more practical to have it partially underground. Yeah, I mean, that's a bridge, so I think maybe it starts about here, but we can't really get a good view of it right now. I am going to find a good view of it really quick. Oh, look what time it is. It's 45 minutes in. But hey, that's not even a full class period, so I'm going to keep going. This video is going to take like 3 days to upload. Cool. And you guys don't even know what the actual assignment is yet. It's fun to be a teacher during a pandemic, let me tell you. Okay, so here's the juice of the canal. Here's where it really, really gets started. And this is the area where people, there aren't so many like houseboats here, but people hang out along the sides of the canal, and it is so fun to do that. I hope that you can get a good view here. This is where a lot of hipsters hang out. You'll see, if you ever go walking at like, 2 o'clock in the morning, there will still be people out. The only reason I say that is because when you're traveling from the United States, 2 a.m. in Paris is more like 8 p.m. in the US. So it's really not, if you're just arriving and you've got jet lag, then you're wide awake at that time. Probably just starting to get sleepy at about 2 a.m. So this is the canal, and it's great. And there's not much in this neighborhood, but the further up you go, the more really cool little restaurants there are, people picnicking along the sides. There are indeed tourist boats that come through, and they have to wait whenever there's a lock. They have to let the water drain, and then it descends the boat, and then they go into the next portion of it. It's really interesting. Yeah. 10 out of 10 would recommend. All right, we've seen almost all the most important parts of the rive gauche, in my opinion, except we still haven't seen the Palais Garnier, and we still haven't seen the Sacré-Cœur. We haven't even covered the left bank, and we're not going to have time to today, and maybe that's okay. Where is, où est le Palais Garnier? It's in here somewhere. The Palais Garnier is indeed, it's a palace. It used to be a palace. Now it is Paris's opera house. It's also known as the Opéra Garnier. It's around here somewhere, I know it. There's the Madeleine, so it's close to that. That's a church. All right, I know I could find it if I just scrolled, but I don't want to waste your time, so we're just going to search for it. Opéra Garnier. It is an amazing building. Ooh, that's the inside. The outside is equally impressive. So that's it. You can do tours. That is something I definitely recommend for your first trip to Paris. Hang on, let's orient here. Yeah, it's highly recommended. You can get tours in English as well. They're pretty much on the reg, and it is 100% worth it. This is also where a lot of businessmen spend their time. There are a lot of businesses in this area for some reason, and one thing that's cool is they will come eat on the steps of the opera. If you're ever here around lunchtime, you'll see a lot of men and women. I don't know why I keep saying men. It's women too. In suits, eating their lunch, which is pretty cool. I mean, if you live or work right by a world-class monument, why not? Why wouldn't you do that? This is not the best view. I want to find a really good view. I think, yeah, this is the entrance over here. How do we switch around? Voila, that's what I wanted to see. This is where the dudes and ladies do their lunches. On the steps. Oh, it's nighttime now. Love it. So people still hanging out outside on the steps. It is a magnificent building, and one of the few buildings in the world that is equally impressive outside as it is inside. So check it out. And yes, they do have operas still. All right, we are at the 50-minute mark. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom quickly over to the Sacré-Cœur. I'm just going to really quick show you what it looks like. And then I might do a quick scan over the rive droite, excuse me, rive gauche, to show you the main points of interest there. And then we'll be done. And then you will have your enrichment assignment, which this is kind of the enrichment assignment, just watching this and learning. We'll have to go around, go up the street. Voila, there it is. It's so beautiful. God. To me, this is the best part of Paris. This is the most iconic, even though it's not the most iconic part of Paris to the rest of the world. To me, it is. When I think of Paris and the heart and soul of Paris, I think of this building and this neighborhood. It's not pedestrian, but it's very, very small and charming streets, windy streets, very hilly. You get a workout when you walk here. So this is the sort of the rear view of the Sacré-Cœur. It's a basilica, just a type of cathedral, I think. Oh, can we please walk through there? We're trying to get to the front. Checking the scenic view. If you are catching me right now as I'm speaking, I just wanted to say don't feel bad if you haven't actually watched this whole video, even if you've just been keeping an ear out and listening to part of it. That is better than nothing. And it's really fun for me. Here we go. Ugh. I swear this is so corny, I know, but I'm getting chills right now. Oh my God. Mon Dieu. A little tram for tourists. So this is the courtyard in front of the Sacré-Cœur, which the building itself, again, is so unique and so beautiful. You can walk to the top. I've done it. It is super cool. I would recommend it one time. I would not recommend it more than once because the view from up here is not necessarily that much better than the view from right here. Let me see if I can get in a little closer. We're gonna zoom out real quick, and hopefully we can put our little guy right in the front so you can see the view. Afin de voir la vue. Let's see, are we oriented the right way? There we go. Okay, so we want to put him here, and hopefully it'll work. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There was a time where I was there at sunset, and there was a guy playing guitar, and my friends and I just sat on the steps and ate bread and cheese and listened to the people playing guitar and singing for hours and hours and hours until the sunset over Paris. Seriously, one of the most magical things I've ever experienced. I want to get a little closer. There's a nice little square with a playground for kids, a really cool vintage playground. Yeah, oh, that's great. It's not going to show you the best view, and it's cloudy, unfortunately. And I'm sure there's other places I could click on, but just trust me, this is an incredible view. Even though you're pretty far from the main parts of Paris at this point, You can see the, I believe the Eiffel Tower is just blocked in this view. It's, I think, over here. And even though it looks really far away, it's still just really amazing to be able to see it all. Can I maybe, I'll put this, see what happens. Nah. I don't know why it's not showing the Eiffel Tower. You can definitely see it from there. I have pictures. There it is. Well, that's pixelated, but you get the idea. You can see it. Oh, people getting married. Des gens qui se marient. If you have a really good long camera lens, you can get really great detail shots of things far away. It's just awesome, guys. I know I've said that like 70,000 times on this video, but anyway, okay. So we've covered, in my opinion, the most, not necessarily the most important, but the most well-known and notable parts of the Rive Gauche, the north part of Paris, the north side of Paris. So let's talk about Rive Droite, Rive Gauche. Rive Gauche, gosh, I always confuse them. This is Rive Gauche, this is Rive Droite. So Rive Droite is the north side, and Rive Gauche is the south side. We've talked about the Tour Montparnasse, that's that ugly, tall, rectangular building that just stands out like an eyesore. You have the Panthéon, which is a Roman, it's styled after the Roman Pantheon. I believe that some very famous people are buried in there. The 13th arrondissement is kind of known as, I believe there's a famous library here, and there's also a little village that also feels kind of like it's not a part of Paris, but it is, which is kind of cool. Pedestrian, kind of hilly as well. I forget what it's called, but it's very cool. There's also Paris's Chinatown is in here. The Eiffel Tower is the most important and obvious monument that's here. It's right in here. We'll look at that really quick, but you've all seen it. You've got the École Militaire in here. You've got a lot of university buildings around here. The Musée d'Orsay is the famous Impressionist and slightly more modern art museum. It's not as modern as the Centre Pompidou, that one that I was talking about earlier that has that tube that you walk up. But it doesn't have ancient works so much as it has more, 19th century works. Very beautiful building in itself. It used to be a train station. By the way, there are dozens of train stations, maybe not dozens, but there's at least 6 major train stations in Paris, and those alone are worth looking at. If we had more time and if you guys were more interested, we would explore just the train stations. They're beautiful, beautiful buildings. They're really impressive and fun to visit. But anyway, that's just an aside. Lots of park space here and here. Great views around here, river views. The bateaux mouches, which are known as the fly boats, they do tourist trips along the Seine, and I do recommend those, as touristy as they are. They're worth it because you see a lot. You see the Sainte-Chapelle, which is another famous church in Paris that I didn't even cover, and then of course you see the famous Notre Dame Cathedral, which is not really Rive Gauche or Rive Droite because it's on the Ile Saint-Louis. I think it's on Ile Saint-Louis, either that or Ile de la Cité. These are the little îles, islands on the Seine. Does it label them? I always forget which one is which. But Notre Dame is here. You've seen pictures of it. Obviously, it took a hit recently, but I believe it is doing well. I think the repairs are in progress. This is the Jardin de Luxembourg, one of the best places in Paris. And again, I know I've said that about 70,000 times in this video, but it truly, truly is. just an amazing, amazing garden. They have horse rides you can do there. They have tennis courts, ping pong tables, little rides and carousels for kids, crepe stands, little fountains. There's a museum in here. I mean, it's an amazing place to spend an afternoon. The Sorbonne University is right in here. That's where I did my study abroad. It's been there for centuries. Very old, very prestigious, and so there's lots of students that live in here, or rather go to school in here. They don't necessarily live in here, but they spend a lot of time in here. Jardin des Plantes is a zoo and just a public, like a botanical garden, absolutely beautiful. Grande Mosquée de Paris is a beautiful mosque. They have a Moroccan restaurant inside that is delicious. You also just get some tea there if you're into tea. What else? Lots of amazing shopping in here. This is the Saint-Germain area, and there's also, I forget, there's another neighborhood in here, but I forget the name of it. Lots of beautiful churches all along here, old school Paris again, but also a lot of really hip, fancy fashion people hanging out in here. And then, I mean, there's a lot of famous people's houses in here. I forgot to mention the cemeteries of Paris. There's the Cimetière Montparnasse, which is down here. This might be it here, actually. There's the catacombs, which start around here. I think most of you have heard of that. That's the long underground tunnels with a lot of crypts and bones and creepy stuff. I have actually never done that, but I want to. And then up north on the Rive Droite, there is the cimetière, what's it called? Père Lachaise Cemetery, where tons of famous people, that's the more famous of the two. A lot of people that you guys have heard of are buried there. Okay, but let's go to the moment you've all been waiting for, which is, of course, La Tour Eiffel. And what you doing? I didn't tell you to do that. Musée Rodin, that's where the thinker is, that statue that does this. Rodin was a famous sculptor. All right, we're going straight into the Champ de Mars pour voir la Tour Eiffel. Et j'espère que la vue va être formidable. I hope the view is going to be formidable. On va voir. Et qu'est-ce que vous faites? Voilà. Ah, voilà. And I know I've showed you this before. Oh, does it have me on top of the Eiffel Tower? No, I'm on top of some other building. Okay. Well, there you go. Eiffel Tower. It is massive. Like, those are people down there. If that gives you an idea. Most, as you can see by this point, if you haven't already, most of Paris is not tall buildings. Most buildings are no more than maybe 5-6 stories high. So the Eiffel Tower really, really, really stands out. It's also one of the major broadcasting points for National French Radio because it's like exposed and it's very tall and gets a great signal. Across the river, this is the Seine here, but across from there you have the Trocadéro, which is yet another old building that was probably used as a palace back in the day, and now it's more of a temporary gallery thing. I'm not entirely sure what goes on inside there. But you have incredible views of the Eiffel Tower from there. That's where a lot of tourists go to get their Eiffel Tower pics. Can we get a little closer up? I swear this is the end. Oh my god. A minute and 5 minutes. An hour and 5 minutes. I'm losing my mind, you guys. This might be the craziest thing a teacher has ever done, and the most pointless, but I'm enjoying it. And if there's even one of you guys that gets even a small amount of information or joy out of these videos, then as far as I'm concerned, I've done my job. Oof. Where are we now? got lost. Oh, weird view. Come on, little man. Let's get up. Boy, that'll be good. I just want to get on the field. The Champ de Mars, aka the Field of Mars. The Mars Field is just the park that surrounds the Eiffel Tower. You can have picnics there too. Night view, pretty cool. It's clearly the Eiffel Tower was lighting up, doing its little light show, which it does, I believe, every night. It does special ones on special occasions, like for Bastille Day, they'll do a blue, white, and red light show. For Christmas, they'll do Christmas colors. New Year's Eve, there's always something interesting. So lots of cool stuff. I just want maybe one more view. I like the night view, but I kind of want you to see it during the day. There we go. It's just the most amazing. It's great to be able to see the whole thing in the distance to get a picture, but the most impressive thing about the Eiffel Tower to me is when you're standing under it. It just, I can't describe how massive it feels. Oh, my husband. Bonjour. Non, ça c'est une vidéo de Paris. Hey, you want to see? My students are never going to watch this, so they probably won't even notice your presence. Look where we are. Remember when we had a picnic right about there? Mm-hmm. Somewhere in here. My sister did some backflips. Yeah. Boom. So there you have it, guys. That is a pretty, it's not the most comprehensive tour of Paris, but it's probably the most comprehensive one any crazy teacher like me has ever attempted to do on Google Earth. And again, this video is going to take like all day to upload. But yeah, there's the parks outside of Paris. I didn't even mention those. I mean, there's restaurants. I could have shown you libraries, so much. But you'll just have to go there today. And I realize, by the way, when I say like, oh, just go, it's not that easy for everyone. It's not even that easy for me, despite what you guys think, despite the fact that I have traveled a lot. I'm a teacher. I'm on a teacher's salary. It's a blessing when I get to travel. But I do, and I would never suggest that someone go broke trying to visit the world. But if you have the means and you can make it work without hurting yourself severely financially, you should go. And I have no qualms in saying that. You're going to gain so much knowledge and nourish your soul. I know, again, I'm sounding really cheesy, but there's nothing like it. And Paris isn't necessarily for everyone, but find the place in the world that nourishes your soul or that you think might nourish your soul and go there. But save up your money first and be smart about it. Boom. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video here. Again, if you watched this, then good for you. Thank you. Merci. And I will post the assignment shortly after this. D'accord? Je vous aime. À plus.